right, everybody, welcome back to an episode of This, That,
and the other.
This is going to be a very exciting episode. We got to catch up with one of my good friends from way back in the day, Daniel Gailey from Fit for a King. So stay tuned for that interview. It was awesome. Talked about all kinds of things, how he grew up, how his dad's a beekeeper, how we both got into golf. So it was fun. It was very entertaining. It was a great time. I love that guy to death. But something pressing is happening every day. As a new day starts, we are getting closer and closer to the Insane Clown Posse concert. And so I told Ian, I've already made plans. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get off work early that day. I'm going to make sure I only have maybe 1 or 2 appointments. I'm going to go straight to the to this corner store over here, get like 2 or 3 12 packs of Faygo. We're going to get there early. We're going to tailgate, try to hang out with some Juggalo members, feel it out, and then fucking get in there and rage, dude.
We're going to get so sugar high.
So as we get closer to it, does your anxiety raise for what we may or may not see when we get there?
You texted me the other day and you're like, so, dude, we got like 10 days. And literally, what was my response? I'm not ready for this.
I'm not ready for this. Because really, the way we told it, the way it actually happened was I kind of aggressively told you that you were coming with me. I called you and I was like, hey, ICP tickets go on sale tomorrow. Am I buying 1 or 2 tickets? Like, what am I doing? Am I buying 1 or 2 tickets? And you very apprehensively
and your wife was in the background going, "Don't go in."
Yeah. So just imagine what the episode is going to be like the day after this concert when I have the high of it, because things come in full circle. And speaking of which, I didn't bring it up in the podcast, but I did see that ICP and Fit for a King are playing the same music festival here coming up. So there's a chance that Daniel might be able to get some insider photos of Insane Clown Posse for us.
Sick. Yeah,
I mean, I'll have to text him about it.
I will say, it was one thing like when you first told me about it, and it was like, okay, yeah, we're going to ICP. Like, cool, we're going to ICP, whatever. But then whenever you told me that it was sold out.
Yeah, it's sold out now. Yeah.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, it's going to be full capacity, dude. Full capacity. We're going to be leaving there with Juggalo makeup on our shoulders and everything, dude. It's going to be wild. And the thing is, I wanted to get balcony tickets for this because I wanted to just like see the show because I'm short as fuck and I don't want to have to stand in the back.
Yeah.
But like for some reason the balcony seats were like $100, but general admission was only $35. I don't understand.
I noticed that with a few shows recently that the balcony tickets are selling more for than the floor. I don't understand it. Maybe it's a new thing with the Masquerade. I don't know.
I don't know because then I for the past couple of years it used to be like if you just get there and there's room, you just go up there. Because when I saw Taking Back Sunday a couple of years ago, I just went up to the balcony and it was no big deal. I didn't have to have a separate ticket. But yeah, so other than that, our buddy Mark is going to Epic Universe this weekend, and I've seen some reveal photos and videos, and man, holy shit, that looks incredible.
So jealous, dude. So jealous.
Because I'm a Donkey Kong. I'm a Donkey Kong diehard fan. I think I've said it on here several times that Donkey Kong Country 2 is one of, if not my favorite video games of all time. I understand that it's a simple game, just your average side scroller, but dude, that game was phenomenal for when it came out. It was groundbreaking. The soundtrack's great. I love Mario, but to me, the Donkey Kong Country games were more fun than Mario. Just personally, and I love Mario.
Those graphics, God, I remember seeing those graphics.
Okay, so those
Nintendo
graphics,
64.
Well, no, the graphics for Super Nintendo, like when it came out on Rare, like the graphics, even though it's like a cartoon game, it was still kind of ahead of its time. You're like, wow, like this is fucking awesome. And then you're riding the marlin, you're riding the ostrich, you're riding the rhinoceros, like, dude, all the bonus levels, like it's just endless fun. Like I've sat down and I've done a speed run, or what I would consider myself a speed run of that game. I've beaten it and then just started playing again. Like I never don't have a good time playing that game. So it's not a real speed run. It took me it took me close to 3 hours to finish it, but
really
for me that's fast,
Damn, you could beat the whole game in 3 hours for real?
Yeah, and then I just turned around and started playing it again.
Damn, that's wild.
Yeah, no, I had a great time. So yeah, I'm borderline jealous that I am jealous that Mark gets to experience that before us, because when I saw how the roller coaster is going to go, it's going to be like the minecart fucking level in there, dude. Oh my God, I can't believe it. But I'm going to wait because I want to go there after all the pandemonium settles and it's just, or regular. So it's probably going to be 2 years, maybe 3 years from now. No, I think if I give it a good 2 or 3 years, and you go, if you go during the right time of year, don't go during spring break, don't go during summer break, don't go during holiday breaks. Like, go there when school's in session and when it's not too hot outside. That's the right time to go. So that's probably how we'll play it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely down with that, because there's so much more, even just in even in Epic Universe, besides just the Donkey Kong ride. Like, dude, the monsters, like fucking Mario World, like all that stuff is amazing.
Yeah. It's gonna be cool
to see what Universal has done with the space is incredible.
Yeah, and I'm not taking anything away from the Super Mario games, is what I said, because Super Mario is still one of my favorite franchises ever.
Yeah.
Specifically Super Mario on Wii, like the red jewel case, dude. That game is, I think I've said it on here before once again, but that game is fucking insane. I love that game so much. But yeah, so let's get this rolling. We had a great conversation with our friend Daniel, who's gearing up for tour with Killswitch Engage right now. He just got off tour with Killswitch Engage and Kubla Khan, and now he's getting ready for the second stretch of that tour with, I believe, Shadows Fall is joining them on this tour, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's going to be Daniel's band, Fit for a King, Killswitch Engage, and Shadows Fall, which, dude, seeing him from where we met to where he is now, dude, it's incredible watching him grow. I'm so fucking proud of him. I'm so humbled and stoked to fucking call him my friend. I'm so glad we still keep in touch. So without anything else, here's our interview with Daniel, and it's going to be a great one. So you guys listen to the whole thing. All right, everyone. Right now, I'd like to welcome a good friend of mine. Haven't seen him in a while. It's going to be great catching up with him, Mr. Daniel Gailey from Fit for a King. Let's catch up, man. How you doing?
What up? Yeah, dude. It's good to see you, man. It has been a while. I couldn't even tell you how long. Like, probably close to a decade.
Oh, it's been at least 10 years. Like, I've got a wife and 3 kids since the last time you seen me.
Damn, bro.
The last time I saw you, you were working at a sandwich shop, and we were hanging out every single day.
Yeah.
And then you got a call to join. I think you got a call to join the band Phineas, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And then I literally never saw you again. So
yeah, yeah, man. A lot has changed since then. I've been in Southern California for like almost 10 years now.
Okay, cool. Hell yeah.
Yeah, like so yeah, I got that call to do like the Phineas stuff, and then like through that was kind of out in California a lot. Ended up meeting my wife. She's from out here, and so made the move, and just been out here at least part time ever since. Cool. I'm touring like 6 or 7 months out of the year. So it's
is like Georgia more like a holiday visit now?
Yeah, pretty much. Like we will basically switch holidays, kind of. So
okay, cool.
Like this past year we went out to Georgia for Christmas. Like this year we'll be in California, kind of thing. So, but it's nice. And then I still, at least come through Atlanta like once a year. So I'll get to see family and friends and stuff like that. So
when you guys play down here, is it like a big bash with your friends? Like, I'm getting all you on the guests, let's fucking rage. Or is it like, well, if you don't come see me, I'm gone tomorrow. So
it was that way for a little while. I mean, with like our whole friend group that we all hung out with back in the day. And, I started to kind of realize that they were like, the only time that we ever see one another is like when you come into town. I was just like, oh yeah, like things have changed. And
that's how it goes.
Certain people have moved away. Certain people are, into other things. So it's like not as crazy as it once was, but I'll still see people from back then. Like occasionally, I saw like Dan and Adriana not long ago.
Oh, great, man. I love Dan and Adriana. Great people,
they're
dude.
The best.
Dan's fucking awesome, dude.
Abby Nipper, like she's down in Savannah now, so anytime I'm down there, I'll hit her up. And
I just played some golf down in Savannah. It was great.
Oh hell yeah, dude!
I got chased by an alligator, so fun times. When you're at the tee box and an alligator is literally like 6 feet away from you, you're like, God, I just got to hit it and go. I got to hit this as quick as I possibly can. Let's get moving, But they do say as long as the alligator's not hungry, you're okay. So
that's good.
I guess we were fine there. But yeah, so let's, if you will, let's have our little time machine. Let's jump back to the beginning. Let's talk about how you grew up. I know you're from Georgia. You're not technically from like the big city area, though. You're kind of from like middle of nowhere, Georgia, in a sense, right?
Yeah. I'm about an hour and a half northeast of Atlanta.
Okay.
Tiny little town called Cleveland, Georgia, or Helen, Georgia is like a neighboring town that's, basically like a rock's throw away.
Yeah. Helen literally has no population until the month of October.
Exactly. Now, what's crazy is you would think it's just October because they do an Oktoberfest, but they literally do that shit for like 5 months out of the year. It's crazy. Yeah, it's like, that's
wild. That's wild.
Because it's like a random little German town in the mountains,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, and I love going there now. Obviously growing up there, I took it for granted a lot, but yeah, now it's like, dude, I go pretty much every time I'm back. I'm just like, oh, hell yeah. Like, now they've got, like, breweries out there and, like, all kind of, like, wild, shit to do. I'm like, okay.
So, like not just tube the river.
Exactly. Yeah, right. Tube the hooch, dude.
So, like, when you grow up in such a small town and then, you live in Atlanta and then you live in California and you go on tour and see all these great cities, does it give you more of appreciation for, like, the calmness of being kind of out in the woods in Georgia?
Definitely. Yeah, I think that it really did take just a ton of traveling to really understand like the value of where I grew up. It's very easy to kind of take those things for granted.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, and I mean I've also been to a lot shittier places than that now also,
Well, dude, I feel you, because I grew up in the city. I grew up on the south side of Atlanta, and then I lived in Decatur and all around East Atlanta, and then me and my wife started having kids, so we bought a house out. We live about 20 miles outside of Athens, Georgia now, and it's just like when you have the calmness and your kids can play outside in the mud and not worry about, gunshots and ambulances going by. It just gives you such a bit. Like, I never thought that I'd be a country boy. I always thought I was a city boy at heart, but then I moved out to the country and I was like, man, this is living,
It's nice, dude. I used to tell people all the time, it's how crazy is it that, we just got used to hearing things like gunshots and what I mean?
Time. We wouldn't bat an eye at it,
No.
Like, I remember one time.
Just keep partying,
This is incriminating.
I still hear them daily.
This is incriminating as fuck. But one time we were having a party. We had people over. We were playing beer pong, having a good time. And me and a buddy who I won't name, we went out to the backyard and we fired off a round into the ground, into an iPhone actually, because we were drunken idiots.
I know who you're talking about. I won't say his name either. But the
hilarious. Thing is, we came back inside and we were telling everyone and we were showing everybody the phone, and like nobody even realized that a gun went off in the backyard because we were just so used to hearing that shit all the time,
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. That's hilarious.
And nobody believed us until we showed it. Like, no, here's the iPhone with the fucking big ass bullet hole in it, But yeah, so
my mom never believed when we first moved here. She was like, "You don't hear gunshots that much
every
there."
day. Every day.
I was like, "Okay, Mom." And like the first time anybody ever comes to visit, including my mom, but like anybody, you'll hear them, and it's just like, all right, yeah, we're here. Like,
when we
ambulances are. Oh, sorry.
When we lived in that house off of Flat Shoals, that we used to do like the basement shows at and stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, I can remember going to that Chevron that was like close by. That's literally like been mentioned in like rap songs and shit like that. Like, it's crazy. But I can remember being in there one night, just like buying cigarettes or something. And, dude, these guys walk in and they're like super sketchy looking. And this guy working at the Chevron literally just pulls out like a rifle and just sits it on the counter.
What?
And it's just like, not today.
Oh my God.
That was the craziest shit I've ever seen, bro. I was just like,
people don't understand. Like, that was like life for us. Like that really happens there all the fucking time.
I was about to say, what's even more fucked up is that probably happens to that dude almost every single day of his life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, there was one time where me and Daniel actually ended up staying the night with each other during the snowpocalypse. And we turned it into a party. We were drunk as shit, and we were helping every car that got stuck in front of the house. We were drunkenly pushing them up the hill, and we're like, all right, who's next? And we'd push the next fucking car up the hill. And then the next morning, everything was iced over. And at the end of the street, there was this really super sketchy Shell gas station, but they were open. I don't know how anybody got there to operate, but they were open. So we literally like went to the top of the hill, and like with shoes on, we just slid all the way down to the bottom and bought beer and like struggled as hard as we could to climb back up to the hill and go inside.
Oh, dude, So I know we were hanging out. I think in like a bunch of us were hanging out in Edgewood, like
Yeah.
and the snow had like started, and we were like, "Oh, this is cool!" Like,
well, this is when I was working at Corner Tavern. You guys came to eat at Corner Tavern, and then we saw the snow, and we were like, "We got to get the fuck out of here!" And we piled into your car.
At first, it was just like, "Oh, like, yeah, this is cool. Like, we don't get snow very often. Like, this is nice." And then once we realized like we needed to leave, then shit was like crazy. Like MARTA buses flipping over, like people having like babies on the interstate. That shit was bad, dude. It took a long time to get to where we were going.
Our very first podcast episode, we talked about that with a guest, and I was like, "Yeah, dude, people were literally having babies on the highway because they were stuck there overnight." You know?
Yeah, dude.
It was then we had a crazy snowstorm like the next day.
Yeah.
After that.
Like after that podcast, we had a crazy snowstorm that was almost as bad as the snowpocalypse.
Yeah, it was gnarly.
But going back to how you grew up, small town Cleveland, there's something that has always piqued my interest that even after, I guess, 12, 13 years now, I haven't forgotten. Your father was a beekeeper, and I've always wanted, I've always been interested. What is that like growing up with a beekeeper as a father? Like, are you just like immune to bee stings now? Do you know how to whisper them and like get around it?
So what I can say, my dad is still currently a beekeeper. It's like his main thing. He's retired from I've always said he had like the two weirdest jobs of all time. He was a beekeeper, and then he also worked at Wrigley's chewing gum factory. So
that's like awesome.
Really, really fucking weird, but but anyway, so I grew up with a lot of chewing gum and with a lot of honey.
Was he supplying juicy fruit with the flavor from his bees?
No, he actually worked the the juicy fruit line for like a long time. Dude, he was like
that juicy fruit is the greatest chewing gum in the world for 10 seconds. It really is.
I know. I used to really fuck with Big Red too. That was pretty goated.
Well, you're the cinnamon guy.
Yeah. So, he's a beekeeper. Dude, it was pretty wild. I mean, like, I've got so many stories that I can recall of just like, so the way that everything works is a lot of times like you'll get stuff shipped in, and like, so for those who don't know, like for a bee colony to work, like you have to have queen bees. Like that's how all like the drones, which are like the worker bees, operate. Yeah. They're trying to, hit up the queen bee and be like, "Yo, mama, what up?"
Dude, they spend their entire life just trying to fuck.
Exactly. And what's the craziest part is that when they do, this is true. You can literally look this up, but like the queen bee will take worker bees like way, way, way up into the sky, and they'll like do their thing or whatever, getting down, and then she will literally like castrate like the worker bee, and then they like just fall to their death, and then that's
wow,
it's
what a terrible
crazy
way to die. That's like one of my biggest fears.
God,
right? I know.
You get your ball snipped and then you fall. Don't do it. Yeah, you get snipped and then you fall to your death.
Yeah, dude.
Wow. Okay.
But so like he would have to get these like in the mail. So I can remember, coming home like from school or whatever, and I'd like walk in the house, and we had this kind of like mud room, like computer room kind of thing before you walked into the actual house. So like I walk in and I can hear like this like loud noise, and I like open the door to like what goes into our kitchen, and I just see like bees everywhere. They had gotten out, and so I'm like freaking out.
No.
And I call my dad, and he's just like, "Don't worry about it. I'll be home in like 10 minutes."
He says it just so nonchalantly. He's like, "I got this, dude."
Dude, it was unbelievable. He literally just like took a queen bee and like placed it outside, and then they all,
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Funneled out. They were gone within like 3 minutes. It was insane.
So is the smoke, is that like a real thing? The smoke to like get them to fuck off?
So it's the smoke. It's basically like when you're working. Think about it like when you go to the dentist and you get like nitrous or something like that. It just kind of like chills them out. You know what I mean?
Okay, cool.
So, but yeah, I mean, there were a lot of bees around all the time. I mean, I used to help my dad. My brother still helps him a lot. He's got a
shout out to your brother Dylan. He's a cool ass motherfucker.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, he's cool shit.
Yeah, he rocks, man. He's doing really well. He's got a little girl now.
Dude, hell yeah, that's what's up, man.
Yeah, dude,
I got twin girls and a 9-year-old boy myself, so
so awesome, man.
Crazy,
so cool. But yeah, I mean, it was a cool way to. I mean, now I kind of get like, oh, it's a pretty unique way to grow up. But I can remember having friends that would come over and they'd be afraid because there'd always be like a shit ton of bees in the driveway.
Well, of course, yeah. Like if your dad, if you go to someone's house and they're either a snake handler or a beekeeper, you're like, dude, there's some weird shit going on here. Like I can't fucking hang out here.
Yeah, right.
Dude, I would go into a beekeeper's house. I'd fuck going into a snake keeper's house.
Dude, I don't know. Just like just imagine like getting stoned or drunk and like stumble around your friend's yard and you knock over a fucking beehive. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, fuck. I'm running.
Which has that ever happened? Have any of your friends ever accidentally knocked over like where they hang out?
So I do have one story that's kind of fucked up. It was like whenever I was like really, really young. We had this. It was like there were a couple kids like in the neighborhood who were around my age. It's a pretty small neighborhood. We lived on a cul-de-sac, but down the street there was like this older kid who was probably like 5 or so years older than us. So like when you're young, that's like a pretty big age gap,
Yeah, it is.
And I can remember he like took us out to the woods and like there was like some of my dad's like they call them like brood boxes or whatever. And he like takes us out there and he convinces like one of the neighbor kids that there's like treasure in it and like to stick his hand down in there and they lit his ass up, dude.
Oh no. Oh no.
That's brutal.
But outside of that, I mean, it was just,
but besides
like kids,
that one time,
kids would be afraid to come over and stuff. But it's really like if you don't like like really all that they can sense is like your pheromones and stuff. I can remember one time when I was like pretty young, being like upset about something and like I was like running, I was like pissed off, slammed a car door or something like that, and they can like sense that stuff, so they like go into like attack mode. But if you walk by and just like ignore them, I mean, dude, like I can't tell you how many bees have like just landed on me, and you kind of just like just like lightly like flick them away. And
I do that with bumblebees. I do that with bumblebees all the time. Like bumblebees, I'm not scared of at all. I'll flick them out of the air if they get too close.
Can't sting, so
exactly. That's why I'm not afraid of a bumblebee.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but all right. So that was fucking awesome. I'm glad you shared that with us.
Yeah, dude. It's so funny.
that was an awesome story.
It's so funny that you remember that.
Dude, that's one of the main. Okay, so when I was briefing Ian about you, I was like, "Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. We go way back. He played in these bands, and I started listening to the bands. And then I was like, oh yeah, and his dad's a beekeeper."
Yeah, literally, that was like one of the top things he pointed out. Is like, "Yep, his dad's a beekeeper."
Yeah, amazing.
I mean, that's something. Awesome. I mean, you just don't hear that every day. So, but anyways, moving on. So, as everyone knows, you play in Fit for a King. You've been doing these massive tours. You just got done with Kubla Khan and Killswitch Engage. I'm so fucking proud of you. That's amazing, dude. It's cool seeing how far you've come. But let's check it back a little bit. Let's talk about when you got into music and growing up in a small town. How were you exposed into metal music, and what do you think drew you to it? Because I know nobody ever starts off diving straight, or maybe some people do, but with me, it was a progressive stretch. I started with like MXPX, Ramones, and then got into that. Started with the Tooth and Nail band. Started with the Solid State because I grew up in the Christian music scene. My first exposure into heavy music was from the Christian metal scene, and then from that I gravitated into more things. So I'm just interested in how it started with you.
For sure. So I was in high school. So I've been playing guitar for like a long time. Like a lot of kids will come to our shows and ask how long I've been playing, and I literally like have to ask how old they are now because I'm just like probably longer than you've been alive. But yeah, I started playing guitar when I was 9. I'm 36 now, so I'll let you do the math.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, long time. So I like kind of, grew up with like classic rock, like Van Halen, Boston, shit like that. And that was kind of what got me into like wanting to play guitar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Throughout, kind of growing up, like getting into middle school and stuff, you get into stuff like Sum 41, Blink-182, like a little, kind of like more like, okay, this is like music.
Yeah, like more edgy music,
Exactly. And so that kind of just like kept happening. But to be honest with you, I can remember in high school, I was approached by these dudes who I ended up being in a band with, but they were just like, hey, we're thinking about starting a band. We need a guitar player. Like, this is what kind of band we're trying to do. Like, what do you think? And I remember like being like such a dinosaur about it, dude. I was just like, I don't know about like all that screaming stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like something my dad would say or something.
That's how it first was for me, because I think one of the heaviest albums I originally got was Bless the Martyr. And I was like, man, this is great. But like there were some times it would get to the point when I was originally starting to listen to it where I would end up skipping the song because I was like, all right, this is just a lot, and now it's all I listen to is music with screaming, and I don't even I prefer music without clean singing now. Like it's evolved into that,
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like throughout my career, especially early on, I don't think like my parents really got it either. But like now they like, it's different whenever you go from like a local band status to like having a full like blown career. But like now, like it's so weird to watch them like kind of like they're like more into it, and it's just never thought that I would see the day, But so yeah, I got asked to this band. I was like, I don't know, and they were just like, oh, dude, well, like there's a show that's like coming up at like this local church, called
Always.
Pivot. Yeah, and
always the local church,
right? So they talked me into going, and what's crazy, I can't even remember the bands. It was just like War of Ages, Becoming the Archetype, and then like a few local bands. And that was my first exposure to any kind of metal, which is hilarious because
you playing your first show was basically your first exposure to seeing other metal bands play.
So this wasn't even like playing my first show. This was just like they were like, come out, see if you vibe with this, and then
okay.
You know
this
what I mean.
This is kind of like your trial run to see if you wanted to join.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
cool.
Yeah. But like, what's hilarious about that was like, played with this band for a while. I was like, okay, yeah, like I'm in. This is dope. Really, I think they could have taken me to any kind of live music thing, and I would have been like, oh yeah, this rocks. But
yeah,
that was my first exposure to it. War of Ages, Becoming the Archetype. Fast forward like years, I ended up being in Becoming the Archetype.
Right. Yeah.
Which is like just crazy to think about.
Yeah. It's crazy how things come full circle,
Really is, man. And I mean, you were talking about Tooth and Nail Solid State earlier. Dude, I've been a part of Tooth and Nail Solid State for the better part of 15 years now.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
It's kind of
crazy. That's wild how things come like that, because that's how I got into heavy music, was Tooth and Nail and Solid State. Then you got into it through those bands, and then you play in one of those bands on Solid State. And then, I end up hanging out with a dude that's on Solid State. So it's wild how life has a funny way of like, just like having these little coincidences.
Totally, man. Yeah, it's really crazy. So I can remember, doing the local thing for a long time, like really just like kind of learning more and more about the genre. I mean, because like the first songs that I tried to write, like, dude, I had no clue. I think, I had like did like a Google search or something of like Christian metal.
Yeah.
And I think like, like Striper or something
or
popped
like
up. And I was like,
oh, okay.
Like,
Yeah.
Dude, not even that crazy. Like it was literally like Striper, like old school, like 80s, like
Which,
shit. So,
hey
like,
man, To Hell with the Devil is fucking sick, bro.
Rocks. It still
rocks. It does, dude.
But so like that was what I was like, okay. So like I think like the first couple songs that I wrote, they were just like that, and they were just like, no. Like we're trying to do, and then found out about a bunch of different, found out what metalcore was. And
so you just came in with like this straight, like standard tune power chord, like anthem rock song.
Yeah, dude.
Hell yeah, dude.
And then, I mean, I knew like what Drop D was and stuff, but like I had come from like playing a bunch of like Van Halen and stuff like that. So it was like a pretty big learning curve, but, boy, oh boy. I mean, dude, looking back on that now, it's crazy to see, just how much that has impacted my life and like where I'm at now. You know what I mean? And it's been quite the journey to get there. But yeah, dude, from that went on to, like I said, join a band called Becoming the Archetype. And that was like my first kind of touring gig. And that was super exciting. I mean, it was, we were definitely grinding. We were in a shitty van and, it was, but we were young, or at least I was young. They were old as shit. They're more old as shit now, but like I think they were like in their 30s back then. I was like the young buck, you know. But yeah, dude. I mean, dude, I got to do a lot of cool stuff through that. They took me to South Africa. I got to tour
I remember
Europe,
you telling me about that.
Like really, really crazy stuff.
I think when we first started hanging out, you had like recently gotten back from South Africa, because it was still fresh in your memory.
Yeah, maybe so. I went there, I think, in 2010.
Okay, yeah, because it was
would
about,
have been.
it was about that time frame, because we were hanging out about 11, 12. So yeah, it was right around that time. I remember when I was told who I was going to meet before I met you. I was like, well, fuck, now I got to pretend like I don't like his band, you know? Because I literally had the album I Am at my house, and I was like, I remember one day you were coming to pick me up, and on your way over, I was listening to I Am, and I was like, fuck, I got to finish listening to this before he fucking gets here. You know, I'm going to look like a fucking loser.
Nah, dude, that's so cool. Yeah, man. I mean, that was kind of like where I like cut my teeth, so to speak. You know, like, and then around 2014, joined a band called Phineas, and that's kind of really where like what I'll call like real touring started. Not that like BTA wasn't real touring, but it was like a lot of churches and stuff. And
and I was going to ask you about that, because when we met, you were technically an active member of Becoming the Archetype, but then I saw you join Phineas. So I didn't know if there was ever like, if Becoming the Archetype was just inactive, or if there was a hiatus, or if you just saw other opportunities to take.
You know, it's kind of hard to remember, honestly. I think, there was a point in BTA where like a couple of the guys, the original guys, had like pieced out, and then and we had a couple dudes like come in. One of which was actually from my like first local band, like back from my hometown.
Once again, full circle.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. But you know, I think that it was just kind of like we stopped really getting like a ton of like off, like that was the thing with BTA, is just like we didn't really ever get like a ton of like support tour offers. It was just like a bunch of headlining stuff, and I think we were all just kind of over it, you know,
just
and
burn out from it.
Things had slowed down, and so that was when, you know, like I started like managing like the Witch like in Atlanta and stuff. And man, that's a whole crazy story too.
You met Shaq there twice, right?
Yeah, dude. I was like, he literally bumped into me, and I was like, you could have just like stepped over me, Shaq. I'm only like 5'6", dude. Like it wouldn't have been that hard.
Could have just thrown me across the room, dude.
Yeah.
One time I met Shaq. He was at this bar called Joystick on Edgewood, and
classic.
He was playing NBA Jam as himself.
Oh my God.
On the arcade cabinet, but he was too tall to see it. So he had to sit in a bar stool so that he could see the screen. Meanwhile, his girlfriend is like shorter than I am, standing next to him.
Wow.
But, yeah, it was awesome. He's a great guy. He's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, it kind of just started to dwindle. But the craziest thing about like, you know, picking up that job and like, you know, just being like, okay, well, like I'm living in Atlanta, like I've got to be able to afford rent, which is hilarious to think about now, because I mean I was paying pennies compared to what I'm paying now. But you know, that was the time, and it was like everybody's got to work. You know, you gotta make do. So when I get the call like about the Phineas stuff, I'm just like, oh man, like I really want to do this, but like how's this gonna work out? And dude, I had the coolest boss of all time. His name's Alan. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but Alan, if you happen to hear this, shout out, brother.
Yeah, shout out Alan from Witch.
Yeah, he kind of changed my life in a lot of ways. He was just like, dude, like you should absolutely do it. He was like, I can run the fort while you're gone, and then whenever you come back, like just put you back on the schedule, and you jump right back into, you know, doing Cisco orders and making schedules, and like it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I was like, holy shit, you know. So yeah, like started up touring again. This was after probably couple years of not touring, and then just did that like crazy. Phineas got a lot of really great offers.
Y'all were really big for a minute. And what's that like, coming from, you know, the touring, dragging your own trailer, getting a fucking minimum pay, you know, playing in front of a small crowd, then now you're in a bigger band, bigger venues. Were you in a bus at all at this point too?
Not then. We were definitely
Not then.
still.
Okay.
We were in a nicer van. We were in like a
Okay.
Sprinter that had like bunks
And with like leg room.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was like we graduated from the 15 passenger to where we're just laying in like a bench seat to like, okay, now we all have our own bunks.
Yeah.
That like we have made, and we actually went through several vans throughout. Because I joined Phineas in 2014, and then probably toured with them for like 5 years. So like we went through at least a couple vans throughout that point.
Yeah.
But
and so also, what is that like when you go from one band that you kind of grew up with them, you kind of broke your teeth with them, going to this new band that like I don't know if you had prior engagements with them or if you knew them well, but does it almost become kind of like a business deal at that point, or are you previously homies and you're like, all right, we can make this work?
So I actually didn't know them super well. We had crossed paths a couple of times just through, it just happens like you end up playing shows together or festivals or whatever. So I had kind of known them. They kind of knew me, and they had like some issues with their guitar player and needed a new guy. So they were like, okay, well, like BTA is not like super active. So, maybe we can get, me. So they hit me up, and I'm just like, absolutely, like, and I knew them like very loosely. So I mean, I can even remember the first tour, just kind of coming in and just kind of be like, all right, like I'm excited, but I don't really know how this is gonna go. And then like we ended up just like clicking, and
that's great, man.
Worked
Did you spend like a week beforehand just like cramming their music and memorizing everything?
Dude, I had 10 days.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and I remember there being a point that I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, because it's still like the hardest material I've ever had to play.
I remember you telling me that, because I do loosely remember me, Blake, and Dan being over at your house and you playing us stuff and you just sitting there like meticulously trying to learn it. And I remember a few times you looked at us, you're like, this shit's so fucking hard.
Yeah, dude, it's really, really difficult. As a matter of fact, even like our last record, we thought we'd never tour it. So we were just like, let's just make this crazy. And then sure enough, we like end up like playing shows. I'm like,
is that kind of like a, you're like, fuck, now I have to play this live.
Pretty much. But like, it's cool. And we got to, dude, like we're still getting crazy opportunities. I mean, like one of the last shows that we did was in Tokyo, Japan,
Yeah. So are you still technically in Phineas and Fit for a King?
Yes. Phineas is
that's
just like
wild.
Not super active. It's been a while since we put out anything. We did play some shows over like this past like kind of Christmas season.
Okay.
With our buddies in Silent Planet and Earth Groans and
hell yeah.
I feel like there was somebody else. But yeah, so it was super sick. We still play shows where we can. Yeah, like really hoping that, we'll get to do another record at some point soon. I'm sure that we will. Timelines just kind of have to line up. But really, like the thing that ended up happening with Phineas was, by the time that I had kind of gotten the offer to like fill in for Fit for a King. So Fit for a King's other guitar player, he's still actually like in the band. He's just not a touring member.
Okay.
Had asked me, if I could go and do like this European tour, because he was about to have, I think it was his second child, I believe. It was his second. And so I was like, well, like, let me talk to my wife. We'll see, and, so it worked out. I ended up going and, was super sick. And, it was just like I don't know. It felt like a very like climbing the ladder experience. It was just like, okay, well, like we're over here on like in Europe with Miss May I. Like this is cool. Like this is like a pretty big band. Like and then since then it's just been like even more so. So basically, I eventually got like asked, like, would you ever want to, kind of make Fit for a King like a full-time thing? And I was really, really torn for a long time. I was just like, dude, like Phineas is like my baby, you know, and so I tried to make both work for a while. Actually, dude, I'll never forget. I think it was like 2018 or 2019. Phineas was doing like one of the, like As I Lay Dying, like comeback tours, which I know they're like a taboo subject now.
That was probably an interesting tour to be on.
Well, yeah, even then, yeah, but I mean, they're even more taboo now. But yeah, at the time, I mean, it was like, dude, like it's fucking As I Lay Dying. Like this is crazy. Like we have to do this.
Like, do you not remember hearing 94 Hours the first time in your life and just being blown away? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like you can't take that memory. Like, of course, you can say whatever you say about, like, I'll probably agree with the things people say about the guy, but you can't take that emotion that it invoked away from me. Like you can't take that away from me. Like that was life changing for me.
Banger.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. But yeah, I mean, you know, so like I got to do that, but like, I had also committed to doing like a mirror tour in Europe with Fit.
Okay.
And so like I'm like trying to split all this stuff. I had to like find a fill in for like the Phineas tour. It was just getting like complicated, not to mention that I was just gone constantly. So I was like, I've got to figure something out here. And Phineas had kind of started like dwindling down a little bit. Our singer had a child. And so we were slowing down a little bit. And it just kind of made sense, you know. It was like, okay, well, my life is still moving in this direction to where, you know, I can be heavily touring, and that's what I want to do, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I ended up joining Fit for a King, and gosh, that was either late 2017, I think, yeah, something like that.
So ever since then, you've been a full-time member.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Coming up on 10 years.
Yeah. It's been a wild ride, man. I mean, we've gotten to even like the stuff with Phineas, like, you know, I got to experience like a Warp Tour, and like I mentioned the As I Lay Dying thing, but with Fit, you know, that was really when it was like, oh, like now we're in a bandwagon, like now we're in a bus, now we're doing like arenas.
Now that was something I wanted to. Now that's something I wanted to get with you too, because you mentioned Warp Tour, and with Fit for a King, I know on your next coming up tour, the first day is a festival. And I know you've played several festivals, but getting launched into the festival scene, I understand a lot of people are like, "Oh man, that must be crazy," because, you know, Metallica's playing this festival, and, you know, this band's playing that, and I don't think people realize that it's like, yeah, they're playing, but I'm so fucking busy, I don't get to see these guys. Or is it a whole? Are you able to find time to see the bands you want to see? Or
oh yeah. See, that's a big misconception, because like another big thing that changed was like we're not our own like crew anymore. Like,
oh yeah, okay.
We hire people to, like, you know, sound check and set up stage and carry all of our shit around. Like,
yeah, so you're not getting done and then loading up a van. You've got guys that are loading up your bus, and you can go fuck off to catering and have a good time. Okay, cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure we'll also get into this, but that's like why I'm able to golf so much on the road, because it's just like, oh well, I don't have anything to do. I don't have anything to do until, you know, 7:30 or what. So really the only time that it is a difference is like on headliners, you have more responsibilities. Like, you know, I'll have to do like VIP and a meet and greet and like whatever that entails.
Now that in itself, is that like so two things right here. How is it when you look back and you look at where you came from and you're standing there and you're like, wow, Metallica is currently playing a stage that I just finished playing. And then also there's these VIPs meet and greets where people are paying their hard-earned money to meet me, to get a picture taken with me. Like, what does that feel like?
So I'll address like the festival thing first. That is crazy. I mean, I'll never forget like this past summer being in Europe and literally watching like Judas Priest play like on a stage. You know, I was just like, this is insane, you know, and like we're all like, we're in Europe, so like we've been drinking beer all day and stuff, so we're just like having a blast, you know.
That warm beer gets you too.
Like, dude, and also like you end up seeing so many of your friends. Like those festivals feel like a summer camp. Like even the ones that are coming up, like I'll look and just be like, oh, like who all do we know that's going to be there? Because it's just like, okay, sick, I'm gonna get to hang out with my friends all day. That's gonna be like outside of my own camp, you know. But then like on the other side of things, like for like the meet and greets, like they're generally really cool. I will say sometimes like they can be a little trauma dumpy.
Yeah.
Which can be a challenge. But for the most part, people are really cool. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, it's not like a burden or any, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm happy to be able to do that and to meet people who are fans, you know. I mean, I'm lucky to be.
I've often thought about that trauma dump scenario because there is a specific album of mine that was written by the hip hop group The Roots, and I've always told myself, you know, if I ever get a chance to meet them, I want to tell them how this album saved my life. But then I double think, and I was like, man, I wonder how many times they fucking heard this and how weird, but also like how weird of a burden that is to carry, knowing that like, wow, like what if I didn't write this record? What if this guy never heard it? And now he's putting the pressure on me that I saved his life. You know, that's got to be fucking weird to hear, you know?
Sure, and I mean, you know, I think that it all depends on the approach. To be honest with you, because like, it's one thing if somebody is like, whoa, my camera's like freaking out. It's one thing if somebody's like, this record saved my life, but it's another thing like if they like really start to go into detail and it's like, you know,
it's awkward.
Yeah, and it's just like we're not therapists, you know. So I'm glad that our music helped you in some way, but also like I don't know how to deal with like the current problems that you may be facing, you know. Like, and we're nice about it, obviously, but like we literally have to have like people like on our team kind of give them like a briefing beforehand of just like, hey, like, you know, let's not trauma dump on the band. Not, you know what I mean?
Now I did.
But is that
ask
something like? Is that something going in like when you first got into this band and knowing like that they had some popularity behind them and they were the band? Like, is that something that you kind of like you knew was coming in a sense? Like you knew at some point you were gonna have to deal with that kind of thing?
Not to the extent. I mean, because when I first joined Fit, like we were still, you know, going out to the merch table and hanging out. Like there's no way that we could do that now. Like,
okay.
I mean, especially, you know, like our singer, Ryan, like he would get swarmed and like would be stuck, you know what I mean? So it's, I like if I've got a friend at a show or something, like I'll go out and hang out, but like generally it's like, okay, like you know, you're probably going to get stopped and be talked to and take pictures and stuff. And I don't mind that stuff. You know what I mean? But like, I also like have figured out kind of like ways to disguise, you know, it's just like, I can literally like, so I'm like got like bleach blonde hair. I'm pretty easy to spot at this point, but like throw on a hat most of the time. Like if I put on a hoodie so you can't see tattoos and stuff.
Well, also like
time,
me,
like,
we're very short guys, so we can blend in if we need to.
For sure. So it's not like all that difficult, but I mean, you know, if people do like see me and want to say hi and want to have a chat or picture or autograph or whatever, then I'm
also
happy to
respect
do that,
the fact that sometimes I got to keep it moving. Like, all right, hey, thank you, I got to go. You know.
Well, I have a trick for that, and for
do you want to give that away?
Yeah,
I was about to say, you want to reveal that?
It's kind of funny, but so it's not, I don't think it's like it's not mean. It's just kind of like a good way of like wrapping up a conversation. Like kind of whenever you feel like a pause, it's just like, you can kind of be like, hey man, like what was your name? And then you do the handshake and just like, well, it's really nice to meet you, dude.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of just like, okay, well, that's like the end of the conversation.
Or you can pull the ultimate dick move and be like, oh, you know, Ryan's over there, dude. If you want to go say hey to him.
Yeah, right. I'm sure he would love that.
But
I owe him though. He has blown up my spot before.
Has he?
So, oh yeah.
Okay. But what I did want to ask you, I always feel like there's two paths in life: people who could never believe how far they made it, or people who knew like, this is where I'm going with my life. And you look at you now, you're touring with Kubla Khan, you're touring with Killswitch Engage, you're playing massive festivals, you're touring all over the world, you're living a boyhood dream. But was it something that you were like, wow, I never could imagine my life was this good? Or did you know like, yeah, this is what I'm going to fucking do, and I'm going to do everything it takes to get there?
Well, I think that I had always chased some form of that. I don't know that I necessarily knew that it would get to the point that it is. I mean, dude, the fact that like metalcore is like going into like arenas and amphitheaters now is like mind blowing to me.
Yeah. And playing with Killswitch Engage, like who the fuck doesn't know their music, you know?
Totally. You know, and like they're super sick. I love Killswitch. Like that's kind of like, you know, reverting back to sorry, I gotta adjust this camera. It's freaking out.
Yeah, your camera doesn't like you, but
I think it's just because it's getting darker. But yeah, like thinking back to you know, those high school days and stuff, it was like, dude, like freaking Killswitch, like this is insane. But also getting to do tours with like more current bands like your I Prevails and your Hailstorms and your Motionless in Whites and stuff, like that is like crazy. Like that's where we're making like new fans, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's been pretty amazing.
Okay. Well, hell yeah. Well, one quick thing before we take up too much of your time. Let's talk golf real quick.
Let's do it.
I think you and I have both gravitated to you either become a golf guy or you
I'm gonna take a nap here, ladies and
gentlemen. Ian's not the golf guy, so let's talk clubs.
It's never too late, bro.
Dude, I want to get him out there because the thing is, I had hated on golf my whole life. The second I put that driver in my hand and hit the ball, I was like, this is all I want to do for the rest of my life. Like,
dude, so I'll tell you how I got into it. Basically, was like I had met some buddies during COVID. And they were like, hey, like, you know, you should come out and play with us. And I was like, I don't really know if that's for me. And they were like, dude, literally just bring a 6-pack of beer, just come hang out. And I did. And then I was like, oh, this rocks.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. So what's your driver of choice? What do you drive with?
So I have a full TaylorMade OG TaylorMade Stealth set.
Okay, cool. Hell
my whole bag is
well,
Stealth.
That's the Rockstar set right there, bud.
Well, dude, and I'll have to send you pictures or video, but I got a whole dude. My wife allowed me to build a sim in our garage.
Fuck yeah,
so
dude.
I have like a whole setup in my garage that's
amazing.
Pretty wild.
With like a big screen and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, she sorry boys.
It's just gonna keep doing that to you.
I know. It's pretty wild. But she did get an upgraded wedding ring out of it.
Okay,
so
well,
she was like, you can do whatever you want with the garage. You know?
I got a King Cobra driver, and all my irons are Callaway, and I swear by Callaway. I love them to death. It's what I learned on. It's what I get used to. I was gonna ask you about Balk because I look for one. I'm all about the grip, so I stick with Callaway Super Soft. I know some people are swearing by Vice, some people are swearing by the Nike, but I just feel like it's almost like it has this like almost rubber coating on the ball with the Callaway Super Soft, and I feel like it just grips the club better when I hit it. So,
yeah, I like Super Softs. I mean, really, like I'm not super particular about balls.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter if you can't hit it straight. What does it matter what you're hitting? You know?
I mean, you know. People swear by like Pro V1s and stuff, and I'm just like,
yeah, you're spending $45 to put it in the water, you know?
Like, yeah, it's like if I want to lose $5 every time I lose a ball, then sure, you know. But
I mean, I'll tell you, like, dude, Kirkland ain't a bad ball.
Oh, dude,
yeah, Kirkland's a good ball.
I'm an adult now. I got a Costco membership. I'll pick up some Kirklands, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hell yeah,
it just sucks where like when you hit a birdie or a hole in one with a Kirkland and that's the ball you got to frame, like, yeah, it's a fucking Kirkland, you know?
Nah, dude, that's what makes it sick.
Yeah.
That's it.
So what's funny about that is, so I have one hole in one, and it was at a par 3, which some people will be like, oh, is that a hole in one? But like, fuck you, it's a hole in one.
It's a hole in one. It is.
Yes. But it was with a noodle, so it's like,
oh, nice.
You know, and I got like a they printed me out like a thing, and I still haven't like I need to like get stuff to like display it, because I'm just like, dude, like I've got this whole room like, you know, dedicated to golfing. Like it's pretty crazy, but yeah, man, I love it. It's super fun. Like it's.
Have you found your favorite golf spots on tour? Like, is there a certain city where like, okay, I got to go play this course, or has it gotten to that point yet?
Multiple. Yeah? I have a like a note in my phone that is like anytime I play like a cool course, I will make a note of it in my phone. But I've gotten to play some insane places. I mean, I got to do this past year. I got to do like Tobacco Road in North Carolina.
Wow. Hell yeah!
I got to do Wolf Creek in Nevada. Like I've gotten to play some insane places.
That's
like.
What's up.
Do the other guys in the band play as well, or is it pretty much just you?
Not really. Tuck, our bass player, will like anytime that there's a Top Golf around, he's like, "I'm in, brother."
Well, Top Golf's a monster, dude. Everybody has a good time at Top Golf. You don't even have to be good, you know.
And he actually is pretty good though. He has been out with me a couple times, like on actual courses, and like not done too bad. You know, it's just like he may shoot like a, 109, 110 or something like that. But it's like, he's keeping up. He's having a good time.
See, my very first game, I shot a 110, and I think that's why I got hooked, because I was like, okay, this is my first time. I don't suck. I'm not great, but, so if this is my starting point, I think I'm just going to keep fucking going. So now I play every chance I get. Like, I'm begging my boss when we're going to go next. I'm telling Ian we got to go. I'm setting up Father's Day with my father-in-law to go play with him.
Let's go. That's awesome.
So when you're in town, if you get time, fucking call me. I'll drop what I'm doing and go out.
That would rock. I would love that.
Yeah, man.
And you can show me, like, because anytime I'm in Atlanta, like, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot, at least in the city. It's like a bunch of like 9 holes.
They're more out towards like Lawrenceville and Swanee and areas like that.
City.
They're mostly in Gwinnett, are they're south of Atlanta. I know the East Lake Golf Course is good, but you want to get out of there. You want to actually have like a nice,
If I'm playing 18. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Even if it's like a lot of times on the road, if like all I can find is a 9, it's like, okay, well, I'm playing it twice. You know what I mean?
But I mean, if you got to do sound check and everything, that means our tee time would have to be at like 10 o'clock or something like that.
I don't have to do sound check, brother.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we do virtuals. So it's God. They're just taken from the show before. So I literally like, most of the time, my responsibilities don't start until our showtime starts.
Yeah, I forgot my buddy.
I was like, oh, I don't have to do anything until 7:20 p.m.
I forgot my buddy Daniel is a literal rock star with a blue check mark on his Instagram and everything,
So yeah, I would love to go out next time.
Yeah, man. No, for real. When you guys are in town, like I want to try to meet up with you guys. Hopefully work or anything's not in the way. If you give me a couple of days, we're gonna post your tour flyer on the post for this episode so they can swipe and look at the tour dates. And I hope everybody goes out and sees it, because you're just going out and trying to meet you. You're an amazing guy, great friend of mine. I'm glad we're still in touch. It's been a blessing just to have you in my life. So, any chance we get to, pound a few beers and hit some balls, I would fucking love it, man. Like, I'm beyond excited just thinking about it.
Let's run it. I'll definitely invite both of you guys out next time. That it'll probably be like, my guess would be like fall.
Okay, cool.
We have a headliner that we're announcing shortly, but there will likely be an Atlanta date for that. So.
Absolutely, and I'd rather play golf.
Then we can do a part 2 face-to-face.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, I'd rather play golf in Atlanta in the fall than in the middle of May, where it's just fucking scorching, and it's probably going to rain every day anyways.
Right. Yep. You and me both, brother.
But before we let you out of here, you want to plug the tour? You want to tell everybody what you got going on?
Yeah, so I'm about to leave for the second Kill Switch run. Crazy. Never thought that I would say that.
It's amazing.
One, let alone two.
Real quick, were you playing the show where Howard made the surprise appearance and came out and sang with them?
Dude, he actually did it twice, and I missed it both times. Once was because it was our manager's bachelor party.
Okay.
And then the second night, I think I had left the venue to go get some food or something, but I saw him in Connecticut, and I was like, oh shit, Howard's here. And I had actually toured on an Iceland Kills tour. He plays in another band called Light the Torch. So I had met Howard prior. And I fucking missed it both times. I was so bummed. I was like, damn it, dude. But yeah. So we're doing that, and then I've got the whole summer off basically. I'm super stoked. It's pretty rare that I get summers off. My wife is a teacher, so she also gets summers off. So
that's what's up. Hey, my wife's a teacher too, dude.
Nice, dude. That's awesome. So yeah, looking forward to that. And then in August we do the big Europe festivals Wacken, Summer Breeze, all that stuff, and then planning on headliner stuff for like the fall in the US, and then we'll have one in Europe as well. And so
hell yeah, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty good year.
Just nonstop.
Oh, dude, story of my life, brother.
And hopefully by the time you come to Atlanta, I'll be good enough to keep up with you on the course. So
dude, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I have like ups and downs, dude. Like, I could go and shoot like low to mid 80s one day, and then
it got to the point when I was out in Savannah that we were just drinking too much and we ended up having to play scramble just to keep the pace up.
Right, I've been there.
So it happens.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, man, I'll let you get out of here. We'll go ahead and end this, and we'll say bye to each other outside of the little video world right here. But thank you so much for coming on here, man. This was fucking awesome.
Yeah, dude. Thank you guys for having me, man. Super fun. It's nice to be able to catch up. And Ian, I hope to get to meet you here
IRL
sometime. Yeah, IRL.
Yeah.
Dude. Just let us know. Let us know whenever you're in town. We'll come out. Be amazing. Be cool.
Dude. Absolutely, man.
Hey, man. Thank you so much, Daniel.
Absolutely, boys. Appreciate you.
All right, I told you guys that was going to be an awesome interview, and guess what, Ian?
I was right. Great.
I was right. Like a lot of times in life, I tend to be right. People want to disagree with me, but I'm right more often than I'm wrong.
Yeah. It definitely was. Like, it was very cool to get to know somebody that I mean, I've never met Daniel before, so it was great to definitely know like how he got into all this stuff, and definitely how he got into Fit for a King, and definitely cool to hear like y'all's, like how you guys met and all that.
Yeah, and it's
stuff.
fucking weird when you sit back and think, like, I'm hearing him tell all these stories, and I'm just like, wait, dude, like you're just like my homie, like you're just my friend, but to like other people, you've literally like changed their lives and helped them through hard times, and that's like, that's so bizarre how like certain people, and to you they're just a normal dude, but like it's kind of like and I'm not comparing Daniel to this person at all, but like. It's like, what do you think like Martin Luther King's homies thought about him? Like, yeah, I just knew him as like little Marty, and now look at him out there changing the fucking world, like it's kind of like that,
Yeah.
But
I mean,
no,
it is,
Daniel's no Martin Luther King. I was just trying to think of a comparison,
I understand. Yeah, I get it. But it was definitely cool to hear those stories about from when, the lives that he's changed, and people telling him their story. So
yeah. Because cool. I mean, like I said in the interview, that's got to be a weird burden to bear. So if you do plan on meeting the guys from Fit for a King, just don't make it awkward. They're just normal fucking dudes, and they happen to write something that did captivate you and change your life, and that's beautiful. But just take
thank them for that.
Yeah, thank them for that.
Yeah. Thank them for that. Thank them. But
man, Daniel's fucking awesome, and I can't wait till he comes to Atlanta. Can't wait to, play some golf with him, see you board out there on the course with us. It's going to be great.
I'll try.
But yeah, so they do have tour dates coming up. We're going to post them in our Instagram post. They got a new single that Ian's going to tell you guys about. And other than that, let's wrap this up, man.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening again. What a phenomenal episode with Daniel. We are so stoked for this interview. Everybody, please go out, check out Fit for a King. We have the pleasure of playing their song at the end of this episode. It is the song No Tomorrow. It is a single that came out on April 15th on a 3-song EP, I guess it would be called.
I guess
nowadays.
That's an EP.
A single, whatever.
A single EP.
Yeah, either way.
But either way,
it's 3 new
very
songs
relatively
by Fit for
new,
a King. Yeah, and go check it out. And make sure you check us out on Instagram at TTATO Podcast ATL. Again, that's TTATO Podcast ATL. And check us out on all streaming platforms. Thank you again for listening to us. And thank you again for everybody that's tuned in so far. We're really stoked to be doing this. And
yeah. And even though this is episode 15, this is still only the beginning. So
it is. And again, thank you so much, Daniel, for doing this. And we hope everybody is really stoked for this interview. Thank you again, everybody.
All right. Well, in the meantime, I guess I got to get better at golf, and you got to learn how to play. So,
God.
All right.
Well,
anyways,
no.
Yeah. Well, anyways, here's No Tomorrow by Fit for a King. See you guys.